Hi, welcome to the small shed. This Saturday I'm going to be making an exhibition of myself, and that's coming up next. Well, it's Saturday morning. For a change, it's raining outside. I think our spell of good weather's over, and I'm off today to go down to Weston-super-Mare, where tomorrow I've got a model railway layout that I'm exhibiting in an exhibition down there. But I'm taking the opportunity to call in this morning on the way down there to Martock, which is where Yandles are, and they've got a woodworking show on. So we'll go and see if there's anything worth picking up while I'm down there. Now, for those who think the model railway world is a strange place inhabited by nutcases and train spotters, you're probably not that far wrong. The fact remains there are, on any given weekend in the country, in the year, there's probably 12 or so exhibitions taking place up and down the country, and they vary in size from small school, village hall type events with 4 or 5 layouts right up to places like the NEC in York, where they'll get literally 100 layouts there, and there will be 30 or 40,000 people going. But if you put that lot together, what you're effectively getting is maybe 200, 250 layouts per week exhibiting, which is quite a lot of people doing quite a lot of miles. Usually, like me, 1 or 2 man bands taking a layout in a car or a small van. The layout that I'm working on at our railway club is 12 times the size of mine at least, and it needs a 7.5 ton lorry to move it. But that tends to be more the exception, because the organisers would have to be paying £500 or £600 just for lorry hire for an event like that, plus 6 operators with overnight accommodation on a Friday and a Saturday night. So it's not just a small hobby that few people do. It's quite a large thing going on that you just may not be aware of. I was asked to come to this one about a year ago. These people tend to book at least a year in advance. I've just booked up to go to the National Exhibition Centre in Worley in 2020, so as I said to the guy, realise on me still being alive, never mind anything else. But it's a hobby, and it's like everything else that I'm doing, it's making things. So it's a day out or two, a little bit of stress, but not as bad as being at work. Well, here we are, hour and a half on, just about ready to come off the motorway. I can heartily recommend the Measuring Up podcast. Andy and Peter Millard. It takes about an hour and a half. It just about fills the journey nicely, and a bit more interesting to listen to than the normal radio. Arrived there, it looked like it was going to be pretty interesting. There was a row of bandsaw blades on the way in and way out counters that were going cheap. Unfortunately, having just bought a bandsaw a couple of days earlier, I didn't know what size I needed, but there was some bargains to be had even before you got through the door almost. There's a lot of timber on the left as well that I could see through the Harris fencing, that was the sort of size of timber that I'd not come across before in my sheltered life, going to B&Qs and Wickes and things, and craft demonstrations almost as soon as you started to get in as well. There was somebody there making some transport for the wife, I think, and a few other things. And then inside the first tent I came to, a huge amount of demonstrations, people mainly wood turning, a lot of practical demonstrations going on, people chatting, and people I recognise from the Crimson Guitars, where I spend a lot of my YouTube time watching channels. The sort of wood turning I'd never seen before like that, and people making bowls, and there was a lot of interaction with the demonstrators as well, so that you could pick up and learn a lot. Crimson were showing off their stains, the guitar bodies that are appropriate to all sorts of timbers. Then I hit the mother lode in their Yandles wood yard, just chunks and chunks of timber there from oak, ash, sycamore, elm, beech, through all the exotic woods, all the hardwoods, the zebranos and Miranites and things like that that you heard about, you see people using, but I'd never really know where to go. They'd also got a huge amount of bowl blanks in one of the other store areas, pen blanks, and it was all 15% off. Timber there for live edge tables and all sorts of furniture like that. It was just mind-boggling, and it's the sort of thing that, having seen it now, you need to go away and sort of reflect on it a bit. There are things I'd like to build. At least I now know where I can get the raw materials from. It's not a million miles away. One of the other halls had got a lot of machinery in there. Charnwood were there with a lot of equipment, and there were deals to be had on most things there. Saws, planers, sanders, Triton, got a huge area with demonstrations going on of all their equipment. There's a lot of record power in one area, and then back to the Crimson guitar stand to have a look at some of the stuff that I've been watching on YouTube. The inlay work on the fretboard and the other guitars that's being built at the moment. Very inspiring stuff. Well, that's been an interesting diversion for a couple of hours. I've been a good boy and not managed to spend any money, but I've seen a huge amount of things I'd like to spend money on. It's also interesting to find somewhere that sells all the hard to find woods, Purple Hearts and Padukes and Zebranos and things that I hear about but I've never actually seen anywhere. So it's certainly one I'm going to bear in mind. It's only 40 miles from my daughter's house down in Weston anyway, so it's certainly something I should be coming back to, and I would advise anybody that is within striking distance to pop over, and if nothing else, keep an eye out for the open day next year and come and have a look, because there's some bargains there. There's 15% of all the woods, the hardwoods and things. It's been well worth the trip out. It's probably put another 80 hours and a couple of hours driving on the day, but it's certainly been well worth it. So we'll move on now to Weston to go and set up the railway.